Thank you. About artificial intelligence.
Okay. I'm going to make this short and sweet and first talk about what we agreed upon, basically the facts, and then also some suggestions that we can work on. So number one, there was total agreement, and it's very similar to what you said, that we do have the best science here in Europe. We don't have a lack of things to do in artificial intelligence. Our question is more how to get that science to actually be commercially successful. The second thing that we all agreed upon was that there is a financing gap, not at the startup level and not at the super growth level, but at after Series A. So those tickets that are too small for the big mega funds and too big for the normal venture capitalist. Third thing that we all agreed upon was that we need to have a boost of mindset. We kind of said we need more of an American attitude towards marketing, or more of a be less afraid attitude towards when it's about trying things and actually rolling them out, which probably is the most difficult topic in the suggestions. Now I have two things that we agreed on that are contrary to what you read in the newspapers, but I've heard it twice now. Number one, we don't have a lack of talent. Like, which goes together with the science part, and which is what we've just heard. We do not have a lack of talent. Even though you read the war on talent every time in the newspapers, but or in the blogs, it's not the problem. We might have some challenges of properly rewarding the talents or incentivizing them, but governments are actually working on that. We should be more proud of the actual people that we have here and keep them here and motivate them. We also agreed that this talent was motivated by the quality of living in Europe, and especially in France and Germany. The second one that is contrary to what you read is that it's too early to regulate AI. We don't know what it is yet, right? There's two types of AI. One is about improving something that's already there, optimization, and the other one is the real game changer, when we automate, I don't know, 80% of work and stuff like that. So since we don't know what the AI is yet, it's very hard to regulate, and I think there was common agreement that regulation in this case would be pretty harmful, because we would deal with regulation more than we would deal with actually implementing it. And implementing AI is the biggest problem that we have in Europe. So now to a few suggestions that we had in there. Is number one, we have to recognize that a lot of what we see in Silicon Valley has been pre-financed for a long time. I mean, you've also been saying this, there's a big scope, right? It took Google 12 years before they ever even started thinking about a business model. This would not happen in Europe, even though that's completely wrong. So also we have to see that a lot of this funding has been public funding in the US. And the differentiation here is that it's not just financing, but it's also procurement. And Mr. Ambassador, you've said this before, is the ability of governments to buy from startups or give startup that immense security, saying like, we're going to buy your stuff for 10 years, like it was done in the US. Right? That is a very important thing. It's not just about creating public finance funds. It's also about creating the ability to buy from startups and make sure that it doesn't cost the startup an arm and a leg to actually participate in a tender. Because which startup can afford to have a 2-year sales process, right? So no one. The next suggestion that we had is if you want to do regulation, use regulation to incentivize the tech ecosystem itself to use AI for improvement, or to incentivize companies that have to deal with basic problems like social welfare or like climate change to actually start using modern technology. That might be a difficult situation for legislation, like how can you rule that someone needs to use some technology, but in the banking area, for example, this has been done, so it should quite be possible on this. Another suggestion that we have is allow ecosystems to develop around dominant technologies. Like, we're so afraid in Europe to create a technology that has a serious market power, like Apple has with iOS. But then there is a fantastic ecosystem built around iOS. Why can't this happen in AIs and so on in Europe? We are so afraid of creating a powerful player that we simply don't have any of those. Another point that was made, and I'm going to close with that, is we don't really have a problem in artificial intelligence with GDPR, even though that is publicly discussed very differently. No one at the table has complained about, we don't have data, we can't do anything. Actually, quite to the contrary, we had the message that, look, all these algorithms, deep learning and so on, they've already been taken by US companies. Let's move to the next level of algorithms, and also ask the question of how can we work with little data or no data.
Thank you very much.